Okay, so now I'd like to do a basic integration guide for the airlock door system. So the easiest part is going to be getting this to work with your character. You basically need two variables, a key ring, which is an array of names, and those would be the names of your keys for locking and unlocking doors, and then an array of door actors for using the doors, basically. Well, and this is actually optional. It depends on how you want to integrate using the door actors into your particular game. The way I do it is by doing an overlap collision on an item in the door, or on a collider in the door. And then when it collides, it adds it to this usable doors, and when it stops colliding, it removes it from the usable doors, and if the actor presses E while in one of these colliders, the door will be activated. So that's my simple system for this example. It might make sense to do it a different way in your setup. So that's all you need for the character. The airlock is basically a message passing system between the two doors that let each, it kind of acts as the signaling to let each one know when it's time to open and when it's time to close. You can set the defaults for each airlock door under the child actor template settings, and so the location offsets and location rates are the offset is the final destination from the starting relative location that you'd like a door to move. The rate is the rate at which it does that per frame. The rotation rate is the same thing, but for the rotation, and the offset is the final destination you'd like the door to rotate to from its starting rotation. Our in airlock variable tells the door whether or not it's in an airlock and if it should use message passing. If you want to use the doors just independently by themselves, that's supported by just unchecking the is airlock. Preset name is where we define our presets. Use preset toggles presets on and off. I'll show an example preset in a moment. And allow interrupt allows the user to interrupt a door translation in the middle of it by basically using it again. So if the door is like halfway shut or halfway open, and the user hits the use key with allow interrupt on, it'll stop that animation or stop that translation and then start another one for the opposite direction. Allow interrupt forces the user to wait for the door to finish translating before they can interact with the door again. And then under lockable, if you want to lock it with a key, we put in a key ID, and is locked, we check it if we want it to actually be locked. Airlock number up at the top here, this is important to set. You want it to be dependent on if it's in an airlock, which door 1 or 2 it identifies as. And the rest of these are mostly just used internally and not really relevant to outside implementations. So those, and that's your basic door setup. This use area here is the collider I mentioned before from the airlock character. So you might want to remove this or change it to whatever your game design is best suited towards. And that should be pretty. Oh, actually, I did want to show the preset table off. So this is where we set our presets. Here's the same location rate, rotation rate that we saw before in the door settings, and you simply make new rows in this translation preset table. There's the default one in there, slide, and my preset is just an example alternative preset for testing. And it's pretty straightforward. It's the same settings as in the default of the door, so that should be relatively easy to figure out. And if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, feel free to get in contact with me.